There are places in the world that do not feel like Earth at all. Landscapes so unlikely and so stunning that they make reality itself feel distorted. Towering rocks, like lost fortresses, deserts that look like frozen seas, mountains painted in impossible colors, islands that seem pulled from an ancient dream, and somehow, all of it is real. On this journey, we are not just visiting beautiful places. We are stepping into landscapes that blur the eyes, spark the imagination, and bring that rare feeling of standing before something words can barely explain. Every destination on this list feels like it holds its own secret, as if the planet still has hidden corners waiting to be discovered. So take a deep breath, because what comes next is not just a tour of the world's most surreal places. It is a passage through landscapes that defy logic, raise your heartbeat, and prove that when reality decides to surprise us, there is no limit to what can appear between the maps. Sigiriya, Sri Lanka. In the heart of central Sri Lanka, along ancient routes once wrapped in thick vegetation, Sigiriya rises like a stone apparition from the landscape. This monumental fortress stands on a massive granite rock that climbs about 180 meters above the plain, dominating the surrounding jungle with astonishing presence. Between symmetrical gardens, stairways carved into stone, and the unmistakable shape of Lion Rock, everything about this place feels designed to amaze at first sight. Sigiriya is one of Sri Lanka's most remarkable historic sites and is closely tied to King Kassapa I, who turned it into a royal fortress and palace complex in the 5th century. What makes it even more striking is that its beauty does not live only at the summit. The formal gardens, water reservoirs, galleries, and famous frescoes reveal a level of planning and refinement that was extraordinary for its time. After its royal chapter, Sigiriya continued as a Buddhist monastic site, giving it a history shaped by power, art, and spirituality. And among the most unforgettable presences around Sigiriya is one of Sri Lanka's most iconic animals, the Sri Lankan elephant. Watching this colossal creature move through fields, forest, and open land feels like seeing the landscape itself come alive. There is something deeply mesmerizing in the way it blends strength, calm, and majesty, as if each step carries the same ancient grandeur that has made Sigiriya feel larger than ordinary life for centuries. But a place like this could never escape legend. Over time, many came to see Sigiriya not just as a fortress, but as a stage for ambition, fear, and wonder, where the height of the rock offered refuge from betrayal and dark omens. In local stories, the mountain remained guarded by ancient forces of the forest, and the lion at its entrance was more than a symbol of power. It was a warning that this was no ordinary place, but a land where history and myth learned to walk side by side. Salar de Uyuni, Bolivia. In southwestern Bolivia, high in the Andean Altiplano, Salar de Uyuni stretches out like a white ocean with no end. It is the largest salt flat on Earth, so wide, so flat, and so bright that at certain times the ground becomes a mirror and the sky seems to fall to the surface. What makes this place unforgettable is not only its scale, but the feeling of total emptiness, as if the world had been reduced to light, silence, and infinity. Salar de Uyuni was formed from the transformation of ancient prehistoric lakes, and today it holds one of the most surreal landscapes in South America. During the rainy season, a thin layer of water creates the perfect reflection that made the place famous around the world. In the dry season, salt polygons appear, islands rise with giant cacti, and the plain becomes so uniform that even satellites have used the region as a reference for calibration. Among the animals that stand out most around the salt flat are the Andean flamingos and other South American flamingo species, which make the landscape feel even more unreal. Seeing these elegant birds with their pink tones and delicate steps appearing against the white salt and the colorful lagoons nearby feels almost like watching a piece of fantasy slip into the real world. That contrast between extreme dryness and the living presence of flamingos is part of what makes Uyuni feel so magical. And a place like this could hardly escape ancient stories. One of the best-known Aymara legends says the salt flat was born from the tears of Tunupa, a sacred figure connected to the mountains of the region. According to the tradition, her grief mixed with the milk that flowed as she wept, giving birth to the vast white plain. It is the kind of story that helps explain why so many people see Uyuni not only as an extraordinary geological wonder, but as a place filled with memory, emotion, and spiritual presence. Pamukkale, Turkey. In southwestern Turkey, in the province of Denizli, Pamukkale flows down the hillside as if a waterfall had turned into stone and light. Its white travertine terraces, shaped by mineral-rich thermal waters, create a scene so unlikely that it seems made of snow, cloud, and marble all at once. When sunlight touches those shallow blue pools, the whole place takes on an almost heavenly glow, as if the mountain itself had learned to reflect the sky. But Pamukkale is not striking for its beauty alone. This natural wonder has been admired since ancient times, and beside it rose Hierapolis, the ancient Greco-Roman city that turned the region into an important thermal center. For centuries, people traveled there in search of the warm waters, believing in their power to heal and renew. Among the animals that stand out most in the region are the white storks, elegant birds that cross the Turkish sky with quiet grace. Seeing one glide above Pamukkale or rest near the ancient ruins creates an almost symbolic image, as if the place became even more beautiful in their presence. They bring movement to the mineral landscape and deepen the feeling that even life itself seems to move more gently there. And like many places shaped by thermal waters, Pamukkale has long been surrounded by stories and belief. One of the most enduring ideas is that its white pools are gifts from nature, meant to purify both body and spirit, almost like a sacred field where the earth offers rest to those who arrive. Between the echoes of ancient tradition and the presence of Hierapolis beside it, the place remains wrapped in an aura of healing, wonder, and reverence, as if every white step holds an old secret from the mountain itself. Zhangjiajie, China. In northwestern Hunan province, Zhangjiajie seems to challenge the very idea of landscape. There, thousands of narrow pillars of quartzite sandstone rise through the mist, creating a skyline so unlikely it feels pulled from an ancient dream. Between deep ravines, dense forests, streams, natural bridges, and sheer cliffs, the place gives off that rare feeling of standing before a world that should not exist, yet somehow does. And when winter arrives, the higher parts of the region can be dusted with snow, making these already surreal mountains look even more magical. What makes Zhangjiajie even more astonishing is the sheer scale of it all. The Wulingyuan Scenic Area, home to the famous forest park, contains more than 3,000 pillars and peaks, many rising over 200 meters high, along with ravines, waterfalls, caves, and calcite formations that deepen the region's unreal beauty. It is no surprise this landscape became one of China's most iconic sights and gained worldwide fame for looking like a borderland between Earth and fantasy. Among the animals that draw the most attention, there are the macaques, a familiar presence along the trails and forests of Zhangjiajie. Seeing them appear among trees, rocks, and suspended paths gives the landscape an even stronger sense of life, as if the mountain were watching visitors through them. There is something captivating in that contrast between giant stone towers and the monkey's quick, playful movement, because they break the silent grandeur of the scenery with motion, curiosity, and character. And like any extraordinary place, Zhangjiajie became wrapped in local stories. One tradition tied to its name says that long ago, the region was linked to the presence of a Zhang family, and the memory of that name remained forever bound to those mist-covered mountains. Over time, the rock formations, the villages, and the imagination of the local peoples, especially those connected to Tujia culture, helped turn Zhangjiajie into far more than a park. It became a place where nature seems to tell stories before anyone says a word. Cappadocia, Turkey. In the heart of central Anatolia, in the region of Nevşehir, Cappadocia feels shaped to confuse the eyes and enchant the imagination. Rolling valleys, rock-carved cities, ancient churches, and the famous fairy chimneys create a landscape that seems pulled from an old dream. It is one of those places where the scenery does not just look beautiful, but almost invented, as if wind, fire, and time had worked together to build a world of their own. Cappadocia was born from ancient volcanic eruptions, and over the centuries, erosion carved the shapes that made it famous. Beyond the valleys and rock formations, the region holds churches cut into stone, remarkable underground cities, and a history shaped by nature, faith, and survival. One of its most iconic images is the sight of hot air balloons at sunrise, revealing from above the almost unreal scale of a place where the ground itself seems to tell stories from many different worlds. And if there is one animal that perfectly matches the spirit of Cappadocia, it is the horse. Not by chance. One of the most well-known interpretations of the region's name points to the idea of the land of beautiful horses. And even today, exploring these valleys on horseback remains one of its most unforgettable experiences. Seeing horses move through trails between fairy chimneys and volcanic hills gives the place a special nobility, as if they had belonged to that landscape long before any city was carved into stone. And a landscape this strange could never escape popular imagination. Over time, Cappadocia became surrounded by the idea that its formations were homes for magical beings. One tradition repeated around the fairy chimneys says those stone towers were inhabited by fairies, as if the region's unusual terrain could only be explained by enchanted hands. It is the kind of legend that does not compete with geology, but helps explain why so many people arrive there feeling they have stepped into a corner of the world where fantasy never fully disappeared. Petra, Jordan. In southern Jordan, between rugged mountains and narrow canyons, Petra appears like a city hidden by the desert itself. Carved into rose and golden rock, it amazes not only with its monumental beauty, but with the feeling of discovery it creates at every turn. Half built, half carved into stone, Petra feels less like a ruin and more like an ancient vision preserved in the silence of the mountains. Petra was the great capital of the Nabateans and became a major caravan center between Arabia, Egypt, and Syria, Phoenicia, linking routes of incense, silk, and spices. What makes this place even more fascinating is that its grandeur does not live only in the famous treasury. There are temples, monumental tombs, rock-cut passages, and an impressive water system that allowed life to flourish in such an arid land. It is this blend of art, trade, and control over water that turns Petra into one of the most extraordinary historical landscapes on Earth. Among the animals that best match the spirit of Petra is the ibex, the wild mountain goat that lives among Jordan's rocky slopes and canyons. There is something almost perfect about its presence, because the ibex seems born from the stone itself, moving with ease across terrain that would feel nearly impossible for anything else. Seeing an animal like that connected to a place like Petra only strengthens the feeling that this landscape was made for creatures that are resilient, elegant, and shaped for a world of rock, height, and sun. And of course, Petra carries its legends too. The most famous centers on Alkazne are the treasury, because for a long time people believed the great urn high on its facade held treasure left behind by a pharaoh. That story fed local imagination for generations and made the monument feel even more mysterious, as if the stone were holding not only the memory of a people, but also promises of gold, hidden secrets, and echoes of a past that never fully revealed itself. Socotra, Yemen. In the Arabian Sea, northeast of mainland Yemen, and closer to the Horn of Africa than most people would expect, Socotra feels like a piece of another planet dropped into the ocean. The island is known for its dry landscapes, jagged mountains, isolated beaches, and above all, for trees so strange they look designed for a science fiction film. What makes Socotra truly extraordinary is its isolation, which allowed an astonishing number of unique species to emerge. The archipelago is recognized by UNESCO for its exceptional biodiversity and endemism, especially the dragon's blood tree, with its umbrella-shaped crown that became the island's most famous symbol. It is no surprise that Socotra became known around the world as one of the most surreal places on Earth. A land where nature seems to have followed its own rules. Among Socotra's most striking animals is the Socotra cormorant, a seabird closely tied to the archipelago's biological identity and its importance for bird conservation. But for a video like ours, the Socotra chameleon also stands out, with its quiet and almost magical presence, matching the island's strangeness perfectly. In a place where even the trees look impossible, the local wildlife only deepens the feeling that Socotra is not just exotic, but something that seems to have evolved in secret, far from the rest of the world. And a place like this could hardly escape old stories. One of the island's best-known legends centers on the dragon's blood tree. According to local tradition, its red resin was born from the blood of a dragon defeated there, as if the landscape itself had preserved the memory of that mythical clash. There are also stories linking Socotra to the Queen of Sheba and to legendary sea voyages, which only adds to the mystery of an island that still feels suspended between myth and reality. Lençóis Maranhenses, Brazil. In northeastern Brazil, along the coast of Maranhão, Lençóis Maranhenses spreads out like a sea of white dunes, cut by rainwater lagoons in shades of blue and green. It is such an unlikely landscape that it seems to defy logic, a vast field of sand shaped by the wind, yet filled with the softness of fresh water. When the light hits this scenery, the whole place seems to float somewhere between desert, dream, and paradise, as if nature had created a kind of beauty found nowhere else on Earth. What makes Lençóis even more fascinating is this rare combination of shifting dunes, seasonal lagoons, and its location in a transition zone between the Cerrado, Caatinga, and Amazon. The national park was recognized as a UNESCO Natural World Heritage Site in 2024, reinforcing the exceptional value of this unique landscape. And there is another detail behind its magnetism. This is not just sand, but a living territory of rivers, restingas, mangroves, and seasonal changes that reshape the scenery throughout the year. Among the region's most striking animals is the scarlet ibis, a bird with vivid red plumage that seems made to contrast with the white dunes and the soft tones of the lagoons. Seeing one near Lençóis Maranhenses feels like watching a brushstroke come to life. That bright presence deepens the beauty of the place, because it reminds us that behind the almost otherworldly appearance of the landscape, there is an ecosystem alive with color, movement, and delicacy. And like every landscape that feels born from a beautiful delirium, Lençóis carries its legends too. One of the best-known tales of Dom Sebastião, the Portuguese king, who, according to popular belief, lives enchanted beneath the dunes, sometimes linked to the image of a black bull with a star on its forehead. This story became especially rooted on Ilha dos Lençóis and gives the region an even more mysterious aura, as if those sands were holding not only lagoons and silence, but also old promises, apparitions, and secrets buried by the wind. Prismatic Spring, United States. In northwestern Wyoming, inside Yellowstone National Park, Grand Prismatic Spring looks like a liquid painting made by the earth itself. The hot spring stands out for its immense size, its deep blue center, and the rings of yellow, orange, and red that surround it, forming a burst of color so vivid it feels more imagined than natural. It is one of those places where the planet stops feeling solid and predictable and starts to feel alive, hot, and almost otherworldly. Beyond being the largest hot spring in Yellowstone, Grand Prismatic is also one of the most famous in the world, with enormous dimensions and a depth that makes it feel even more imposing. Its colors are not just beautiful by chance. They exist because of communities of microorganisms adapted to extreme heat, living along the edges of the mineral-rich water and creating this extraordinary natural display. Among the animals that best match the spirit of Yellowstone is the American bison, a living symbol of the park's wild power. During the colder months, these giants often use hydrothermal areas to better endure the winter, which makes their presence feel even more connected to the region's world of steam, ice, and heat. Seeing a bison in Yellowstone is like watching the landscape itself take on body, movement, and memory, because few animals express the strength and endurance of this remarkable part of North America so well. And while Grand Prismatic Spring is not tied to one specific legend like some of the other places on this list, the Yellowstone region as a whole holds deep spiritual meaning for indigenous peoples who lived and traveled there long before the park existed. Hydrothermal waters were used for ceremony and healing, and indigenous traditions connect this land to power, origin, and sacred presence. That helps explain why Grand Prismatic feels like more than a beautiful place. It feels like standing before an ancient force that has been respected for generations. Mount Roraima, Venezuela, Brazil, and Guyana. At the meeting point of Venezuela, Brazil, and Guyana, Mount Roraima rises like a colossal wall above the clouds. This flat-topped tepui, with its near-vertical cliffs and lost world appearance, dominates the Guyana highlands with a presence that is hard to compare to anything else. It feels like the kind of place that does not belong to the same planet as the forests below, as if a fragment of another age had been left suspended above the earth. What makes Mount Roraima even more fascinating is that it belongs to an ancient geological system within a region of tepuis that form one of the most extraordinary landscapes in South America. Its isolation over millions of years helped create a highly unique ecosystem, with species that evolved almost entirely on their own at the summit, reinforcing the feeling of a lost island floating in the clouds. It is no surprise that the landscape of Canaima and its tepuis became one of the continent's most surreal images, blending rock, mist, marshes, rare vegetation, and monumental silence. Among the most remarkable animals in this world is the Roraima bush toad, a tiny amphibian found only in the highlands of the tepuis, as singular as the mountain itself, in a place defined by giant cliffs and vast horizons. It is striking to think that one of its most symbolic creatures is so small. And of course, a place like this carries legends worthy of its appearance. In indigenous traditions, especially among the Pemon people, Mount Roraima is seen as part of a sacred landscape, and one of the best-known stories says it was once the stump of a gigantic tree that held all the fruits and vegetables of the world. When that mythical tree was cut down by Macunaíma, the waters spread out in a great flood. It is a powerful story because it makes the mountain feel like exactly what it seems at first glance. Not just a mountain, but the visible remnant of an ancient creation. Halong Bay, Vietnam. In northeastern Vietnam, in Quang Ninh province, Halong Bay opens like a maze of green water and limestone towers rising straight from the sea. Thousands of islands and islets, many covered in vegetation, create a landscape so harmonious and so unlikely that it looks hand-painted. It is the kind of place where beauty does not come from one single view, but from the feeling of sailing through an entire world shaped by mist, stone, and silence. What makes Halong Bay even more fascinating is that it is not just beautiful, but geologically extraordinary. UNESCO describes the region as the world's largest and best-known example of marine karst flooded by the sea, with limestone landforms shaped over millions of years. That blend of towers, enclosed lagoons, caves, and water-carved forms helped turn the bay into one of Asia's most iconic natural landscapes, the kind that feels suspended somewhere between earth and dream. Among the animals that stand out most in this world is the cat ba langur, an extremely rare primate tied to the archipelago that now forms part of the UNESCO site alongside Halong Bay. The image of this animal living among steep limestone cliffs and abrupt islands feels perfectly suited to the spirit of the place, because it brings life to a landscape that already seems magical on its own. And a place like this could hardly escape legend. The most famous story says Halong was born when dragons descended from the sky to help protect Vietnam. According to tradition, as they hurled jewels and jade into the sea, those treasures became the islands and natural walls of the bay, stopping invaders and giving the place its name, often understood as Descending Dragon. It is a legend that fits the landscape perfectly, because standing before Halong Bay, it feels easier to believe in dragons than in chance. Vinicunca, Peru. In southern Peru, in the Cusco region, Vinicunca rises in the Andes like a mountain painted in layers by time itself. Also known as Rainbow Mountain, it stands out for its natural bands of red, yellow, green, and other mineral tones running across the slope in a way that feels almost unbelievable. At more than 5,000 meters above sea level, The place is striking not only for its colors, but for the feeling of facing a landscape that seems impossible until it appears before your eyes. What makes Vinicunca even more fascinating is that its surreal appearance comes from ancient geological processes shaped by different minerals and the passage of time. The destination gained worldwide attention in recent years, but the region had long been known by Andean communities before that. And there is one more detail that makes it even more powerful. Vinicunca lies along the route to Zhangjiajie, one of the most sacred mountains in southern Peru, which gives this colorful landscape an even stronger sense of presence and grandeur. Among the animals that best match the spirit of Vinicunca are llamas and alpacas, figures inseparable from the Andean world. Watching them cross high-altitude trails with their calm, almost solemn presence adds even more identity to the scene. In the cold, the wind, and the colored mountains, they seem to complete the landscape naturally, as if they were part of the Andes' own palette, bringing life, movement, and the feeling that everything there belongs to one ancient world. And like any mountain that commands deep respect, the Vinicunca region is also tied to Andean beliefs connected to Zhangjiajie. In local traditions, Zhangjiajie is revered as an apu, a sacred mountain, a protective spirit linked to fertility, healing, and the power of the land. That makes arriving at Vinicunca feel like more than simply visiting a beautiful place. It feels like stepping into a territory where color, altitude, and spirituality have walked together for a very long time. And by the end of this journey, one feeling remains. This planet still holds landscapes capable of shattering any idea of what normal is. From fortresses built on giant rocks to deserts that turn into mirrors, from mountains painted in color to islands that seem to have slipped out of another world, every place we saw here proved the same thing. Earth is far stranger, far more beautiful, and far more surprising than everyday life usually lets us remember. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these places captured your imagination the most? And which one would you dare to visit first? Tell us in the comments. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel to keep traveling with us through landscapes, cultures, and mysteries that make the heart race. Because when the impossible takes shape in the real world, the best thing we can do is keep exploring. Between the maps.